Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm trying to get onto this thing. Oh, geez, already open.
What's it called again?
Monkey Shoulder, the original. Blended malt Scotch whiskey. Batch 27.
Holy smokes, you got your grade 10 there. That was good reading.
Thank you.
Look at that. That looks great there. On a Monday, little whiskey.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything, I don't think.
Call me off there.
Taste.
Every time I'm watching your Instagram stories, you're on the boat, you got a nice cigar, maybe a whiskey every now and then, and I get a little jealous. So to have you here and to have a cigar and a whiskey with you, I'm pumped.
Well, good. I'm happy to be here.
Well, cheers here. We'll get the cigars going here.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to fight the girlfriend over a week to light these cigars in the basement, boys. So
thank you, girlfriend.
We're gonna have some fun with it for sure.
Wherever you are, appreciate it. Oh, look, you got your own cutter and everything. You're all set.
Can you go?
Here we are.
Just chuck it in there, Eden.
You know they're good ones when they take forever to light. There we go. Now we're rolling. Little taste. Let's tell a bunch of stories and lies.
Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah, cheers.
Yes,
happy
cheers.
to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I've been a fan of your reffing style and social media style for quite some time now. So to have you here in the flesh outside of Moncton, how long have you been cooped up in New Brunswick for? COVID, I guess 2 years.
Yeah.
You haven't been able to leave?
Yeah, so when was our last lockdown? Like November? Probably. So the last game that I worked outside of New Brunswick was in Cape Breton on a Wednesday. I think it was the 18th of November. I'm pretty good with dates normally. So I think it was a Wednesday and the 18th of November, and then we got locked down shortly after that, and then the queue shut down for a while, and then we kind of came back, and then I believe we shut down again, and anyways, it was a bit of a racket. But yeah, it's nice to get into the big city of Halifax. I love it here. It's beautiful. So, and happy to be on the podcast. I know, you guys have really made some headway here in the last 3 or 4 years. Like NHLers on here every time I'm looking. So certainly props to you for that. Very cool.
It's like when you probably know exactly what you mean. Like, your first, maybe not first, maybe your whatever 100th game in the queue. Maybe it meant something to you, maybe it didn't. But whenever I hear things like that are said to me, sometimes I forget. It's like whenever we do have an accomplishment on this podcast, like, yeah, it's great. I'm very excited. I'm happy, whatever. But I never think about it. I never take that second and go, we just had Drake Batherson on here. It's a bit of a problem. I don't look at my accomplishments and go, oh, we just did that. I don't know about you, how you feel about whenever you have an accomplishment in your career, if you take a second and look at it. But for me, but whenever people come on and say, it's like, holy shit, Justin, you do that.
Yeah.
It's, it's a cool feeling when I guess it's recognized from the outside world, outside of these four walls in the studio. It's a good feeling. So I appreciate what you just said. Thank you.
For sure. And I'll expand on it. So there's a guy in Moncton. I don't know if you know Craig Eagles. He does a little bit of writing.
He has a great Twitter account.
Yeah. He's an incredible writer. So I've known Eags forever through hockey and whatnot. And I kind of made a comment to him. I was working in Moncton and I was like, are you going to be here? Whatever. It's going to be my 300th career game. This was like probably a year and a half ago or whatever. He's like, are you serious, man? I was like, yeah, I'm coming up on 300 games, whatever. He's like, I want to do like a story about you. I was like, no. He's like, come on, no. I want to do a story. I'm going to call Richard, who's my boss in the Quebec League, and run it by him. But I want to do a story on you. And anyways, he wrote something, man. It almost made me cry. Wow. Honestly, yeah, it was really, really cool. Because Craig's an incredible writer to start with, but it was just kind of like, yeah, I've been doing this for 9 years or whatever it had been at the time. I'm going in my 11th season now, so for 9 years, and it was like 300 games is a lot, and that's something that I kind of wanted to touch on today, like just to kind of make people aware. I'm fortunate. I'm single, no family. Like I don't really have any commitments. I can pick up and go to Cape Breton.
You're killing it
on a Wednesday if I want.
Smoking a cigar on a Monday, a whiskey, talking to a mic.
Yeah,
what more do you want out of life right there?
But the guys that are in the league or whatever with like a wife at home and a couple kids and whatnot, like, driving home from Halifax, like, a John Langell or Steve Starzomski or Josh Young or one of these guys, like, getting home from Bathurst on a Wednesday at 4 a.m. to have to get up to, look after the kids or
Make some
or
scrambled
whatever.
eggs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Look
Like
after the family.
it's not an easy go. And that's another thing that like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you have like a job?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't just referee hockey like at the junior level." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't professional hockey, man. I know that these kids are one step away from the NHL for the most part, but yeah, it's a great side gig and whatnot. But there is a lot of like, sacrifice and whatever that goes into it. So it is really cool, when an accomplishment, we try to do that. The refereeing fraternity is, we try to kind of prop each other up as much as we can because, we're the third team that's out on the ice. So.
Ooh, I like that. You're the third team that's out on the ice. When I was always playing, I respected the refs, of course, but I always respected the bond that. Oh, sorry, Aiden. Is that good? I always respected the bond between the refs at the beginning of each period. How you guys all touched each other's chest.
Yes,
and I thought that was the coolest thing, playing and seeing the refs. Like, wow, I mean, those guys. It as a player watching that, it doesn't intimidate you, but it goes, okay, these guys they have each other's backs. No matter what happens here, these refs are gonna stick up for one another. It doesn't matter if the ref makes a wrong call. It doesn't matter if the linesman makes a wrong call on an offside. They're gonna have each other's backs no matter what. It's almost like a ref putting their foot down and letting the rink, letting the players, letting the coaches, letting everyone in the rink know they're on the same team and no one's gonna fuck with them because your position is very, you got to have thick skin.
And it's interesting that you say that because, we evaluate ourselves harder than anybody else evaluates us. Like, man, I hate making mistakes.
Yep.
I hate making mistakes.
Yep.
And I can guarantee you, I'm the first guy in the rink that knows I've made a mistake when I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
And obviously we go on foolish about whatever in life on the road trip there, and even maybe in some of the dressing room before. But like, once it starts getting time to go out on the ice, like we're talking about game stuff. Do you know what I mean? Especially if I'm working with maybe a younger guy or something like that. I'm talking to him about how we're going to run the face-offs that night, or a veteran official, referee talking with a younger referee about, keep an eye out for this guy. And, these two guys have kind of been going at it all season or whatever. And then after a period, man, like that's all we talk about is like, what'd you think about that period? Remember that play where Buddy was in the corner and he kind of went into the dasher weird? Like, what'd you have there? Well, from my angle, like I thought it was a good no call. And then maybe one of the other boys say, wow, boys, the way I saw it, like probably could have been a minor penalty or whatnot. Like that's what we do. We don't just wheel into the dressing room and fire on the speaker and start the dance party. Do you know what I mean? Like, we care about the hockey game, man. We really do.
And when you're bringing this story up, the first time I ever recognized that refs were critical about their own game was NHL 24/7. I think that was the first time they ever did it on HBO. I thought that was one of the most brilliant things the NHL could have done, was allowing people to see behind the scenes. And that was, like I said, the first time when they went into a dressing room of the referee after the game and they were talking about, maybe, I don't know what the actual clip was, but it was refs being critical of their own work. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
Whenever I saw that first clip, it opened my mind up to certain things. Because I didn't think refs were pricks, but I didn't think they cared that much.
Yeah.
I thought they were there for a paycheck and bounce.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm involved with something kind of on the side, Team Stripes. So it's like
Adidas.
What's that?
Team Stripes.
No. It's like a developmental referee thing.
Okay.
So we have like an online course and stuff. And anyways, whatever. What I'm getting to is we film this stuff, online modules. So Don Koharski runs an officiating school, or has in the past run an officiating school.
Okay.
And I've instructed at it, and there's 50 kids that go to each one of these camps or whatever. So obviously we're getting into the online, and that's the way things are going, obviously. So we did these modules, but we had to have, and it was a crew like this with like a legit setup, man. Do you know what I mean? The boys came in with cameras and microphones and all that shit.
Okay.
So we get out there to do these modules, and it's like, this is how you do an offside and the proper position you get in, and where your sight line should be, and your hard eye and your soft eye, and we talk about icings, we're talking about this, whatever. And there was a couple hockey players there from Moncton, Steve Johnson, Dom Cormier. Like, these guys came out because we needed to have like a mock game of some guys that can maybe pass the puck around a bit. They're not, trying to throw a saucer pass and rifle it into the rafters. So we're in the dressing room after, and I've refereed Dom and Steve essentially their entire life because they're from Moncton.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, both of them are from Moncton. So, anyways, Dom's sitting beside me. He goes, Hicksy, like, I'm never going to bark at a ref ever again in my life. I was like, why? He's like, I didn't know that you guys had, like, positioning and things. Like, where there's a place you're supposed to stand, and, like, you got to get to a spot, and you got to be athletic enough to get to there, and you got to be, like, watching this but knowing about that. And, like, he's like, I didn't realize there was, like, all of that stuff that go into officiating at a decent level. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it was just that was cool too. To hear a guy that was, Dom had just finished playing in Victoriaville, and then he went and played at U Ottawa, and I think he just signed an American League deal. So, it's a pro hockey player talking to you like that. So it's neat.
Yeah, there's little things within hockey where you get satisfaction. I use that word correctly. Your satisfaction out of someone that's in the hockey world that gives you props. Says, "Oh, wow, that's a great thing that you're doing right now." There's little things like that allow you to, I guess, keep going in the game of hockey. Little compliments like that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. First game in the queue. Actually, no, I don't even want to get that far ahead. Moment you knew, I guess, you had a skill set in lining, because I always thought about a scout for a linesman. Like, there's scouts up in the stands for a hockey player, but then there's scouts up in the stands for refs and linesmen like that. I guess when was the first opportunity or the first moment you knew, okay, whoa, wait a second, I might have a skill in this game?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. It's a bit of a funny story. So I'm victim of having a bunch of best friends that are incredible athletes, and I kind of always played on the teams, but was never the best athlete.
Okay.
So I started refereeing hockey. My hockey career ended. I was a goalie, took a puck to the elbow, shattered my elbow. Now I'm scared of the puck. Like, when somebody fires one in the power play, man, I'm like, oh, God, I really hope he knows. But I'm working at a level good enough that most of the boys know where they're shooting the puck now. So, but anyway, so I'm at the age where it's like I'm in grade 9 or 10, I think, grade 9, and I'm at the age where it's like, Dad, can I have $20 to like go karting, or can I have $20 to do this, $20 to do that? So my dad's like, why don't you go ref, Matt? Like, make some of your own money. And God's honest truth, I started for the money. That's why I started refereeing hockey. So, I'm in the dressing room, and it's structured the same way now. I think it's been a long time since I've been around minor hockey, which I probably should get back to a little more, but if Adam plays at 8, then Pee Wee plays at 9:15, and Bantam plays at 11:30, and Midget plays at 1 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, you're in the room. You just finished your Adam game. 3 guys just finished the Adam game. The Zamboni's out flooding. The Pee Wee team's ready to go, and there's only 2 other guys there. And it's like, oh, where's the 3rd guy for the Pee Wee game?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he just decided that he didn't want to come ref. And as the ref, man, you're like the goalie in the pickup league game. Like, you got to get to the rink.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
The goalie can't show up. Can't not show up.
Yeah.
Boys don't want to shoot posts.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
You got to be there.
You got to be there. So I happen to be physically the biggest kid in the room a lot of the times. And it was like, you, Matt, yeah, you're staying with us and doing the Pee Wee game. And it's like, okay, I guess. So I happened to get into some opportunities that I probably should have never been in because I was physically the biggest kid in the room. And they were like,
it's odd how that works.
Yeah, so it's like, you're going to come do, like, I remember I did a Bantam AA game once. And it was like, I don't know, one of my first or second year doing it. And then, I kind of got sort of noticed, talked through the grapevine. It's a small community, the officiating community.
Sorry, just to interrupt. There's a smoke detector on the bottom of the stairs right there. The battery's in it. Can you just take the battery out? It's like open because I hear it beeping in the back.
It was driving me a little nuts too.
Do you know what I mean though? It's right at the bottom. Thanks, Aiden. Okay, keep going.
Okay, yeah. So
put on camera 3. Yeah.
So anywho, I start doing games that I wasn't assigned to do, just happened to do, and then I don't know. I happen to be pretty good at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it
naturally comes to you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a little bit of communication skill and stuff like that. Like I was never a great skater. I'm still not a great skater. But I don't know. I can call offsides, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
You're between the lines.
Yeah. So I remember I was in like grade 12, and some of the guys from the Quebec League then approached me, and I was starting to work major midget in grade 12, which was cool because it was like a bunch of my buddies played on the Flyers, and I was out there so it was like I finally made it to the same level of athleticism you clowns are at.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. And then, some guys came to me and they were like, Matt, like, do you like reffing? And that's kind of what I ask young kids now. That's the first thing that I ask them if they want me to come have a look at them or whatever. I'm like, okay, why do you ref? Like, what is it about for you? Well, there's no part-time job that'll pay you $15 an hour or whatever. And it's like, okay, you're here for the wrong reasons, but whatever. But if there's guys that are like, I wasn't a very good hockey player or whatever, do you know what I mean? Like, then I'm like, okay, like I'll work with you. So I was like, yeah, I do really enjoy reffing. And they were like, okay, listen, man, here's the things that you like. As a referee, there's 3 things you can control. You can control your skating ability, you can control your rule knowledge, and you can control your physical fitness. That's it. Other than that, man, she's out of your hands.
Yeah.
So they were like, and my thing at the time was I wasn't a great skater. So, I went to the gym and I researched, some core strength and some leg strength things and to try to become a better skater and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got started down the competitive side of refereeing avenue. It's a bit of a long-winded response, sorry, but that's fine. The story.
That's why you do a podcast, so you get that fucking thing, Aiden's still going. Just take the whole there. You know what? Just keep everything going. I'm just gonna go do it, and then I'll edit this part out as I leave. Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, man.
I took the
That's
battery
fine,
out. I
care.
figured that would do it. Didn't want to rep on any wires. Get myself demoted. Come out of my paycheck.
You get the big bucks to sit in that seat.
Exactly. Grinelli seat.
Yeah.
That's what I call myself, Mike Grinelli.
I think you just had to twist it back on.
Or Al's brother. Do you watch Overdrive?
No.
Love Overdrive, man.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Love Overdrive.
All they do is talk about the Leafs pretty much, but it's great.
Kind of, but yeah, I don't know.
They're good. They have a good chemistry, and they're not even in studio. They for the past couple of years they've been at home. Fuck, boys, that's gonna be a damper. I don't know what that is. The battery going.
Did you take it off the wiring harness?
No, should I do that?
I'll fix the smoke detector.
Okay. Do you know where it is? At the bottom of the stairs. Bottom of the stairs. I think that's a first. We got a guy gonna fix right at the bottom to the left.
To the left.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just do what you got to do.
Guess taking care of things.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is a first. We got cigars and an issue with the smoke detector. That's a first for the High Button podcast. All good?
I think so. We're gonna find out here.
We'll find out in a couple seconds here.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the
wired
beep.
back in.
When you said someone came to ask you, do you like to ref? Who was the person that asked you that question?
Christian Boudreau, same guy I worked my first game with.
What was it? I'm sure a lot of other people have asked you that question, but what was it about him that made you remember that time when he asked you?
Because he was the first guy that asked me.
That's it, just the first guy that asked.
And
you.
it was like...
Because it made you think about the question. Why do I like it? Do I like the money, or do I like the competitive nature, or do I love being on the same level with my friends?
Yeah. And it would, honestly, it would be thing 2, which you just said, the competitive nature would be the thing that drove me the most. But thing 3, being on the same level with my friends, was certainly a kicker. I never cared about the money, man. I still don't care about the money. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not my full time. It's not my full time job.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say no when the money goes in the bank every 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? From the Quebec League when I'm working games, but it's not why you do it, man.
Good on the Quebec League for giving that appearance that it is a full time job, man. When I see the refs wheel out there in the Metro Center, I'm like, these guys are all living in mansions, condos, drive. Like, I'm like, the Q does, I'll give it to them. The Q does a great job at marketing.
Yeah.
They do a fantastic job of making it seem like everyone that's on that ice, even the refs included, are living the dream. And when you just got here, I'm like, what brings you to town? You're like, oh, I'm just working another job. I'm like, oh, the appearance is there for the Q.
Yeah. It's a pro league. Do you know what I mean? It's a pro league.
Yeah. Well, do they make you feel like it's a pro league when you're traveling?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I have a bunch of buddies that work in the National Hockey League. My buddy Jesse Marquis actually just got the call 2 weeks ago. He went from 40-40 to he's hired full-time contract.
No way.
Yeah, to Columbus. Yeah, he's from Bucktouche. I don't know if Jess is 25 yet or not. Anyways, he's not old.
I wonder if that's because of the expansion. Like, there's another team now, so they need more reps.
Honestly,
it's like with another team, you got to add at least probably 10 more reps.
And as the guys transition out, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's guys that transition out, and usually I know the guys that were retiring. I just don't right now. I haven't really followed it much lately because of COVID, but like they come out and the new guys come in, so they put them on 40-40s, which is like, so Jesse would have been working like half in the American League, half in the NHL, and then they kind of decide, well, you're on this 40-40, like, are we going to bring him on are we going to make a 15 or 20 year investment in this guy? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then so he got the phone call that, yeah, he's a full-time, so that's cool, and I know that those guys, it's the cat's ass the way they travel. I mean, we travel 4 guys in a vehicle, but we're looked after 100%, man. Hotels, all that stuff.
Company credit card. Coffee in the morning.
Well, no,
coffee in the morning's on you.
On the rookie. Yeah, usually the rookie picks up the coffee. I got out of that about 5 years ago. But and the other thing too that I will say about the league, it's with our boss who's top shelf. Like, anytime there's any bit of weather or anything like that, man, like hunker down. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't travel, boys.
Was it like that even before Humboldt?
Yeah,
it was like that before?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like, let's not have, let's be asking for permission rather than for forgiveness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, we're treated really well, man. Can't complain. We have training camp on August 14th, and there'll be skate guys there to get us rigged up with skates, and we can pick out some swag and shit like that. So yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
You get a pair of skates a season?
No, we get a discount through the manufacturers, and then we get them, whatever. I usually change my skates every 2 years. So
yeah. How do you think about who was the ref that got let go from the NHL this year because he was trying to get a call back on Nashville?
Tim, yeah.
What's your thought on that? Everyone in here is a hockey player. We know how the game goes, how you got to make it even, and maybe if you're a new fan to the game and you look at that, and maybe let's say you're a heavy bettor into hockey and you see something like that, that's not good. What do you think about all that?
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. That's a gambling thing, right? Like, I'm going to give a lot of credit to basically all the coaches in the NHL. Like, they all came out and were like, Tim Peel's a fantastic official, and that shit goes on a lot more than anybody thinks it does. Like, if you think that he said something that doesn't happen on the regular, like, man, if you think that when the UNB Varsity Reds go and play another team that isn't the UNB Varsity Reds, do you know what I mean?
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. Yeah. There we go, because they're not in the league anymore. Perfect.
Not perfect.
No, there we go. When the UNB Varsity Reds go and play St. Thomas, and they're going to beat them 14-1 with their eyes closed, do you think that we're calling penalties on St. Thomas? And do you think if we can find one on UNB, we're going to find it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Boys, the outcome of the game, it's already done. They showed up. The bus got here. The game's over. Like, if the boys get their gear on, she's over. Do you know what I mean? The outcome's done. Are we going to, like, how pissed off do we want to get St. Thomas? Yeah. Oh, so we want to get them pissed off at the fact that they're getting the snot beat out of them. Now they're pissed off at us. Now they're pissed off at everybody. So now everybody's emotional. Now what happens? Somebody decides they want to run somebody from behind because they're angry and they make a poor decision or swing their stick or do something. It's our job to evaluate, and one of our supervisors in Moncton, Don Gadet, he's the best at it. It's like having a pot on the stove. You got to know when the pot's going to boil over. You know what I mean? Our job is to turn the dial on the stove. You do that through communication and whatever. Like, there's nothing that Tim said that doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? But you can't get caught saying that stuff, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never done that before. Like, but do you know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Of course, but I think that all comes from the from the guy that's gambling on hockey
That doesn't know much.
Knows nothing about hockey. Nothing. Probably never seen a game in his life.
Yeah.
That's a math formulas guy that's calculating odds, has got some algorithm, do you know what I mean, of some kind that plugs the games in the algorithm and it tells him this is who you're betting on tonight because of the odds or the spread or the whatever. I'm not a huge gambling guy, but I know that that's what drives that. And I think, the NHL is competing against the 3 other big leagues in
gigantic.
Exactly.
Big's an understatement.
One of them owns a day of the week, as said on Concussion. Do you know what I mean? They own a day of the week.
One of them owns China. I'm not going to say owns China, but is heavily invested in China, the NBA.
Exactly.
Huge in the NBA.
Yeah, and the MLB is global, man.
Well, it's America's tradition. It's their.
So the NHL is competing against them. They all have betting. They all have that stuff.
And it's the most expensive for kids to play.
Yes.
Which isn't helping the feeder kids come through.
Bingo, absolutely. So, say what you want about Gary Bettman, man. I take my hat off to him. He's done it, from a business standpoint.
Yep.
I think he's done a hell of a job with the National Hockey League, man. And to be able to pull off the playoffs that they did in that bubble 2 years ago or whatever, and not have one case. When they announced that, I was like, oh, yeah, the boys are going to stay in the hotel, and oh, yeah, nobody's going to venture out, and oh, yeah, snow for sure. I was like, there's no way. First week, she's over. Somebody's getting COVID. It's all done. But cheers, thank you. But, they made it. They pulled it off. And I thought that was remarkable. I really did. So, take my hat off to them for sure.
Well, it's interesting how there's a lot of people within, I guess you could say government, professional sports, whatever, who, maybe panicked at this whole COVID thing. And, panic comes with the territory of something that's brand new that comes into this world. And you look at a sporting world and, let's say, yeah, you do look at the NHL and you want to make things happen because the fans are very demanding and want playoffs. And like you just said, you nailed it on the coffin as well. Nail it on the coffin?
Hit the nail on the
coffin. Hit the nail on the
coffin.
coffin. For them to pull that off and do it in a fashion that they did, under pressure, under a fan base that maybe isn't already happy. I don't know. It's incredible to deal with PR, to deal with the Black Lives Matter movement too during that too.
Yeah,
right. There was
right.
So,
that was huge. That was right around then as well.
There was a
lot going on.
There was a shooting. I think the Nova Scotia shooting happened during. There was just so much going on, and for them to be able to recognize everything, keep everyone happy, keep the money flowing. I don't know if they made money or not. They probably lost money on it, but nonetheless,
they kept the league.
They kept the league up and running, and you got to think that they're not battling other leagues, but they're battling the perception of other leagues. Okay, if the NFL is able to stay up, we have to stay up. If the NBA is going to stay up, we have to stay up. If MLB is going to be up, we got to be up. If we want to be considered the best professional sporting league, we have to deliver.
Yeah,
and they did.
Of course,
they did.
I just want to make one point. Do you hear that?
Yeah. Are you an electrician?
No,
as well?
I'm not. And I was just about to look at all this fancy gear you guys have in here. Cords, cords everywhere. Do you know what I mean? All I know about electrical is red on red, black on black, and I got the noise to stop.
First star.
Yeah.
First star of the game.
I just had to do a humble brag.
How long are you in Halifax for? We might need you again.
I'll send you the invoice. I'll come whenever you want, but I'll send you the invoice.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Couple repairs you can do around here anyways.
But what a beautiful shop, man. And
I love this place.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I know we already got into it, but just the brand that you've created and grown throughout the last whatever, I just think that it's super cool. And this is a place you want to come sit down, have a glass of scotch, smoke a cigar, and shoot the shit.
Oh,
it's what it is.
It is. It was necessary during COVID. Because before COVID, the company was on the road. Every weekend we were traveling. We're in PEI, we're in New Brunswick, we were in Boston, we were in Vancouver. We just traveled. That's how we grew the company. And when, obviously, they're like, all right, you got to stay home for the next 2 years. Fuck. Okay, I got work done.
Better pivot.
I got work done at a Tim Hortons or a Starbucks for the past 2 years, and a coffee shop on my laptop. That's where I focused. I had nowhere to focus, so I panicked for a sec. And I remember when they're remember how you said, where was it? The AUS Championship, where all this happened. So it was that week for me where panic set in. It shut down, but it didn't set in the panic probably for a week later. Because, none of us have ever gone through anything like this.
Remember the U Sports Cup?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
That-
we were there.
well, that's
That
what
was
I
my-
mean.
that
Yeah,
was
he
my
was
first-
reffing. He was
I was
in
there.
Were ya?
Yeah.
That was my first day.
Yeah,
I
that
went
was
to
his
sports.
first day. So the first
Was
day,
Sports Cup.
he was up in the press box with us, and
Okay.
then right after that, it all shut down.
Yeah.
What are you looking at him like in that for?
No, it's just crazy.
He's
Like
eyeballing.
I'm remembering it, and I'm just remembering where I was. Like I remember, I forget the gentleman's name, but so it was Acadia's tournament, and the athletic director for Acadia was like under in the Metro Center or whatever it's called, Scotiabank Center, whatever it's called now.
Metro Center.
Okay, Metro Center, where we get dressed. This man is on the phone, and he is running back and forth, and he's on the phone with like
Trudeau.
exactly. I don't know who's on the phone with, man, but he's on the phone with somebody important. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like he was just like sweating profusely because like this hockey tournament that's probably taken them a year to gear up
Yeah.
is now like she's over.
Well, I knew the guy that organized it, Chris Larson. He runs C, the Sport Entertainment Atlantic, and I had a podcast with him maybe 3 weeks before the event started, and he was going over the exhausting hours it takes to put on a tournament like this, talking to the mayor, getting hotels,
For
getting
sure.
organizers, getting
Crazy.
cars, getting commute from the airport
Yep.
to the rink. So much goes into it. And I remember I saw Chris walking around, like what do you call them, under the stands, under the... What do you like where you get dressed?
Where we get
yeah,
dressed,
where we
yeah,
get dressed,
where
like
we get
underneath,
dressed.
like where the fans aren't.
Yeah.
And I just saw Chris pacing, and you saw the wheels were turning. I mean, how if this doesn't go down, how do we recoup? How do we adjust? How do we make sure this goes on? And it wasn't just him; it was everyone. It was the refs. It was the training staff. It was everyone had that look.
So another funny story about that is that the U Sports Cup is a event run by U Sports CIS. The officials are supplied through Hockey Canada. Like U Sport doesn't have their own officials. Like, so, I'm a Hockey New Brunswick official supplied by Hockey Canada. So the rumor or whatever, I have no idea if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was said was it's Hockey Canada's fault that this tournament has happened because they pulled the refs. Because Hockey Canada was like, we're ceasing all activity, essentially, or whatever, on the 14th or whatever, 14th.
That sounds about right.
I think it
Yeah.
was. I think it was the 14th of March when, the NBA and then the MLB and then the soccer, Major League Soccer,
I don't know
whatever.
how
They
it-
all,
yeah. All the dominoes fell.
started
Yeah, everything
falling.
fell.
Exactly. And then that night, the Thursday night, Hockey Canada was like, we're out or whatever. So Doug Hayward, who's the RIC for the country, he sits in the board of Hockey Canada for officials. He calls us into the thing. He's like, boys, she's over. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, for you guys that are from out west, like, get to the airport now and get on a goddamn airplane. Like, get home.
Yeah.
So I just had to drive back to New Brunswick. Okay, no trouble.
Yeah.
So, but people were on Twitter and how that goes. You know what I mean? It starts that it's Hockey Canada's fault because they pulled the officials and they were going to find like scab officials to referee the CIS National Championship.
No. I heard
that
Yes,
rumor.
and I was like, boys,
Really?
I heard about that weekend. I remember that.
I was like, if those guys put some guy that does Adam A on the ice with the UNB Varsity Reds and the Alberta Golden Bears, I'm sitting in the stands with popcorn. Never mind going home.
Yeah.
I want to watch that happen.
That's because that's NHL caliber hockey,
Man.
basically. Well, imagine putting like a ref in there that's like 18 years old, just no idea what they're
Oh,
doing.
it wouldn't be an 18-year-old man. It would be the 50-year-old man that never had his shot.
my
With
God.
he wouldn't even have the visor. You know those cages?
Yeah.
Those half cages.
Yeah.
He'd be rocking one of
Yeah,
those
wearing jeans.
with the T-blades tongues out. Guaranteed. He'd have the T-blades tongues out with the half visor. Oh, it would, or the half cage. It would be awesome, and I'd be in the stands just roaring as
Yeah.
Gardner.
I'll risk COVID over this.
Yeah.
I'll watch
Oh
this.
yeah. To watch Gardner McDougall
Yeah.
scream at that man,
Yeah.
for sure. Yes.
Oh man, that's so funny. I didn't hear that rumor, but that would have been incredible.
You got that one?
I
Aiden?
I
Yeah.
remember. I don't know if I read about it or heard about it.
Yeah.
But there was 100% like
A rumor like that.
a rumor that
Yeah.
they were gonna throw just random local guys on the ice, and I was like texting my buddies, like, "Have you got a call? Are you
Yeah, have
going?
you got-
Are you going to
You
the U
in?
Sports Cup? Yeah, like
Yeah.
we need some guys. I'm in the press box. Get out there.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was definitely
Yeah.
out there for
That's
sure.
Yeah.
crazy.
And just to speak to that caliber of hockey, so I worked the national championship. I sound like I'm bragging. I apologize for that, but I worked the national championship in Fredericton in 18,
Okay.
and X played UNB in the semi.
Where was this? Sorry.
in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
UNB was the host, and X played them in the semi.
Wow, give me some play like Trey Lewis.
Trey was there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know the
so
year.
Dad called them. Dad called them the wind-up doll line. So they had Mike Thomas, Danny Willick in the middle, who wouldn't hurt a fly, was the captain of the team, and Trey Lewis. And it was like, Dad was like, it's like Gardner goes ring, ring, ring to Mike and Trey until it's like, ding, until it's ready, and then it's like go.
Wow.
Those guys would come off the bench, man, and just try to run you through the wall. Absolute animals. Do you know what I mean? So, and, X had like Stednica and like some. Anyway, so I worked that game. It's the best game of hockey I've ever been on the ice for in my life.
Packed arena.
It was, it was cool, man. It was really, really cool. And X beat them.
Wow.
And I remember Joe Ellery, who's an incredible official. He actually had a serious opportunity to go in the NHL, but wanted to kind of go the family route and whatever instead, so he decided not to. This guy's worked a pile of international events, worked a couple World Juniors, worked a bunch of Memorial Cups. Yeah, he's good, man.
Wow.
So he called a penalty shot against UNB. Like, St. FX took the penalty shot with like 4 minutes left in the game in UNB. Dad called me after the game and was like, who is that guy you're reffing with? And I was like, Joe Ellery. He goes, he got the biggest balls I ever seen in my life.
Wow.
He goes, that was incredible, man. He was like, because...
Was it the right call?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it like, but if you call a minor penalty for hooking there, it's like, okay, there's 4 minutes left in the game. Like, that'll do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah.
No. Boom, penalty shot, center ice. They didn't score on it, which is a referee's best friend. Call a penalty shot, and then the team doesn't score.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You look like a big dog.
Yeah.
You're just like,
man,
it's all
it was.
good.
I was like, oh my god, man, this guy's legit. But anyways, he's just. But that's what it takes
to make.
No, just Coe's always said, Don Koharski, because I've worked. You can referee with fear, or you can referee with courage. There's only two ways to do it. You can referee with fear. You can referee with courage.
Is it hard?
It's hard to referee with courage.
Is
man.
it?
It's hard to referee with courage.
Can it be taught, or you're born with it? Can you? Is it just repetition?
It's trusting yourself. It's trusting yourself and not giving a shit about what the general public thinks, or that like you might make this coach upset or whatever. It's about, do I trust myself that this is the right decision, the best thing for the game, and I'm going to make it. And man, when there's 15,000 people in the Videotron Center screaming at you, like, sometimes the little man that is yourself, do you know what I mean, gets over. Like, it's not easy.
You're human.
Yeah, right. It's not easy. So yeah, you can referee with fear, you can referee with courage, and that's kind of the name of the game.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. What?
I was just gonna say, I don't know how you do it. Like I did. I remember calling a penalty shot in a Bantam AA girls SEDMA final and
Big
shit
call,
myself.
Man. Big
Shit
call.
myself. And I went over, and the coach was looking for an explanation. I was just like, I just did it. Like I threw up the signal, and just that takes balls. And you got to be confident, like you said.
The boys will chirp me if I don't say this. Luckily, I'm only a linesman, and I don't make that call.
Yeah,
because they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're playing it off as a referee, Hicks, out of boy." But no, but the guys that do, like, it's cool.
All right, it's time for a quick timeout brought to you by Crypto Vantage. Did you know teams like the Dallas Mavericks and the Oakland A's are allowing you to buy tickets using Bitcoin? That's right, Bitcoin. More teams and more athletes are getting involved in the cryptocurrency world. You can get paid through cryptocurrency. Like I said before, you can buy tickets with cryptocurrency. The world of cryptocurrency is absolutely insane right now, and we all know that the sporting world and the crypto world are coming hand in hand. That's why we are happy to team up with Crypto Vantage to make sure that they are giving us more information so we can get ahead in the crypto world. For more information, head on over to info.cryptovantage/high button. Sign up for the white paper. It is free. All you have to do is type in your name, your email. They will send you the information through the website. Like I said, people, it is free. It's not going to cost you a cent. I'm not going to make sure our listeners are forking down money. Don't even worry about it. All you have to do is head on over to info.cryptovantage/high button. Fill out the paper. you will get an email notification giving you more information on the website so you can sign up. And actually, we have our own custom video there. So if you actually do go to info.cryptovantage/high button, you'll see myself in the studio rocking my nice high button polo, and I'm actually talking about my own personal story with cryptocurrency. So one more time, head on over to info.cryptovantage/high button, sign up for the white paper, and you will be supporting High Button Sports, and you will be getting more knowledge on the cryptocurrency world. How about that?
Hell of an ad
How was
read
that?
right there.
You can breathe now.
That was good.
That
That
was
was
really
solid.
good.
You do it when
people
Like,
will go to the people.
Fire up the computer there and put my name on the white page.
You're gonna sign up for the white paper?
Sure.
Awesome. There's a
one already.
Are you gonna sign up?
I'll sign up.
So that's 2 people right there for
you
the
do
white
this
paper.
thing when you read ads. Like I listen to every podcast, but you do like right there. You said crypto, like really just hammered it home. Oh, that reels you right in.
When I was younger, I had like a speech impediment. I think I still do, but I went to like a speech doctor once, and he's like, you got to really hone in on like your, what are they called, syllables? The last word, the k. You got to hone in on them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I try to
you
practice.
reel it
every
right
now
in.
and then.
Every single podcast, I notice that. Like
I love it.
Bang.
Anyways,
makes you think.
so yeah, CryptoVantage/high button.
Well,
Head on over.
Am I being
You got any
paid
money
in
in you got any
Bitcoin?
money in crypto right now?
Well, I don't, but I'm going to make a comment. Like a bunch of my buddies do. And
Are your buddy sports guys?
Yeah, they are. They are. Like I'm talking about guys that referee. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, two of my referee buddies have like these wild computers that I know nothing about because what I know about electrical is red on red and black on black. But they got these wild computers and they're actually mining this stuff, right? So, but a perfect example is Don Koharski ran officiating camps, in-person officiating camps. We still do something along those lines for years, and then it was like, you want to know what the future is going, online and digital and whatever. Like we have to make like an online university or an online module, something that somebody can log into and watch from their computer or watch from their home or whatnot. So, this cryptocurrency stuff, I don't know a lot about it, but I also like to think that I'm not an idiot. Like it's probably like right now in 2021, like, is it, the biggest, baddest thing? Probably not. But what's it going to look like in 2031? And, man, when you buy low and sell high, like, that's,
it's a
that's how
recipe
it works.
it's a great thing. No, it's definitely an interesting world. And I'm honestly like, they're a sponsor of the podcast, but I'm not going to bring on a company to the I'm not going to bring on another company to High Button Sports that I don't actually believe in. And actually going to their website, cryptovantage.com, there is actually like tons of information. So my story, what happened to me was I put money into a website back in 2013, probably put like $100 into Bitcoin. Didn't check it for like
5 years or something crazy. Yeah.
Ended up making like $1,200, but I couldn't get my money out because I had to redo my
password.
My password, but my identification, because my ID that I signed up for expired. So I had a new ID number, and I typed in my new ID number, and it wouldn't accept it because I had to sign up for the website on my old ID. So I lost all my money. And it's just little things like that because it is, cryptocurrency. It's a new world, so there's tons of information like how to store it and stuff. So I don't know. It's just a cool website to check out and get some information from.
That's funny. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the skit, Chris. It's either Chris Rock or Kevin Hart. I forget which one.
Okay.
But it's the moving the money from my check-ins to my savings. Have you seen that one?
No, what is it?
That's what that sounds like to me. Yeah. So, anyways, the long story short is the lad goes to Vegas with like a bunch of high rollers.
Love it.
And they go out and like spend a pile of money on like night one or whatever.
Yeah.
He blows her all, empties the account, right?
Yeah.
And the boys the next night are like, we're going after it again. And
Yeah.
he's like, boys, I got to move he's broke,
Yeah.
but he's telling me, he's like, I got to move my money from my check-ins into my savings, and it takes 4 business days to do the transaction from my check-ins to my savings. Do you know what I mean? Anyways,
Man,
if you've never seen that skit, so we've all been there.
Chris Rock? Who did
It's
the joke?
either Chris Rock or Kevin Hart. I forget. But if you haven't seen it, it's hilarious.
Oh, that's so
we've all been
funny.
there, man. Me and my roommate, when I was like 20 years old, scrounged out $18 for a tin of chew out of the couch, man, and we were like fired up. I think we had like a pack of Mr. Noodles in the fridge.
Unreal.
Do you know what I mean?
Those are the best stories, though.
Priorities.
Oh yeah.
Get your priorities straight.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways.
Oh man, I remember starting this company and how broke. I didn't have a cell phone for, I didn't have a cell phone for 2, maybe 3 years at the beginning of this company. I had a media company without a cell phone, without internet, like without like a network.
A mobile device.
I had a mobile device, but everywhere I went, I had to connect to Wi-Fi. And even if I did have Wi-Fi, I'd have to like I call. What's it called? Not FaceTime. I'd have to FaceTime. I couldn't like actually call someone without Wi-Fi. So picture that. Like I remember like going to meetings at Dirty Nelly's, and I didn't have a car back then, so I'd have to take like the bus down to Dirty Nelly's from the house I was living in before. And by the time I get to Dirty Nelly's, I check my messages, and it's like, oh yeah, I can't make it. I'm actually gonna change the meeting to 1:30, and we're gonna do it in Dartmouth if that's okay. Well, I just bust all the way down. I didn't get the message, so like. The battle at the very beginning of not having money with this company, it sucked at the time, but now looking back on it, where I'm not saying I'm comfortable, but I'm okay. And just looking back at those stories, it's just the funniest thing. So like you're talking about Mr. Noodles, it's like, yeah, I'm sure you're comfortable now, but looking back at those stories are the best.
Yeah,
the best stories.
You were asking for the waitress if she could give you 50 cents for the next bus from Dirty Nelly's to, excuse me, do you mind spotting me 50 cents so I could pay this bus ride across the bridge?
What's the Wi-Fi password actually before I order it? I gotta see if I have any money in my account here right quick. Yeah,
everybody loves that guy.
What's the Wi-Fi?
What's the Wi-Fi password guy?
Password. That's all. What was the Wi-Fi password here?
Yeah.
I'm in the form running from corner to corner to try to take a video to upload something. Like, where's the Wi-Fi?
Oh,
I had to go to like the skate sharpener guy. Hey, what's the Wi-Fi password here?
We've all been there, man. And you want to know what? Like, people that haven't been there have been incredibly fortunate in their life, but at the same time, they missed like a hilarious part of their life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody for an extended period of time, but for like in your early 20s or whatever, late teens, early 20s, like, yeah, man, that's how you figure it out. That's how you get life experience. Like, okay, I'm getting paid on Friday, and I have $6.50. There's a can of beans. Like, I can maybe make 2 servings out of that. Do you know what I mean?
The best.
Oh, yeah,
the
wicked.
Best.
You're just finagling, and you're like, but the boys want to go, like, it's wings tonight at whatever. Like,
25 cents a wing.
Yeah.
And maybe if I didn't tip, maybe I could, I can
if
do
I
this,
play Jimmy this afternoon at golf and rinse him, I can get $20 for that.
If I bet $50 on this par 3, I'm great at this par 3. There's no way he's gonna. There's no way he's gonna par this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, chuck a kid on some public transit. That's how you turn him into a man. I think Kevin Hart said that. You want to turn a kid into a man? Chuck him on some public transit buses.
Couldn't agree more.
He'll be a man in a year. He'll
Couldn't
figure
agree
it
more.
out. What was I gonna ask? Oh yeah, I want to know about what it's like up in northern Quebec in the middle of the winter.
There, I have never been. So
really,
yeah. So
do you consider yourself fortunate because of that?
No, I'd love.
You'd love to go
to like Rouen and
you'd love to try
and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Like I think that. So I'm telling my secrets, but I'd like to get to 20 years in the league. I'm going into 11.
Wow.
If I keep myself in shape, which I'm not now, but if I keep myself in reasonable shape, hopefully I can make that happen. And then in my last year. Normally, if if you've been a good boy and whatever, like you can kind of sort of request to do that. And I think that I'd like to work in all of the rinks in the league before.
That's a cool.
Yeah, right. So I've worked, obviously, the 6 rinks in the Maritimes, Rimouski, which is my favorite barn by far.
Why Rimouski?
It's just cool, man. It's just cool. It's a cool spot. It's old and the fans are into it, and it's just a small little town. And there was a year that I went there like probably 6 or 7 times. I just like Rimouski. I always have.
It's not that far of a drive.
So it's a half hour farther for us from Moncton than for us to go to Sydney. And we go to Sydney, man, down and back on Sundays.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, and when I tell people that, they're like, what do you mean you drive to Sydney, referee a hockey game, and then drive home? And I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. And they're like, no, there's no way. It's like, yeah. So like for people, like when people say to me like, oh, it's like, are you like, can you come like an hour and a half? I'm like, yeah, that's a hop, skip, and a jump. Do you know what I mean? Like at 5 hours, I start to get tired in the car. Before that, like I'm good. Like driving to Halifax to me is down the road from Moncton. It's not far.
No. If you're drafted to Moncton in the queue, you're pumped. You're home in 2 hours.
Yeah, for sure. So I've worked Rimouski, Quebec City. I've worked both the old rink and the new rink. Both of them are incredible. The old rink's, nostalgic, and the new rink is the new rink. It's an unbelievable.
It's just one lower bowl.
It's so cool, man.
Wi-Fi's great there.
I worked in Victo, and I worked a Super Series game in Sherbrooke, which is also another cool rink. So
They got a lot of students from Bishops there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, Rimouski's my favorite.
Wow,
for sure. I have a funny Rimouski story if you want to hear it.
No, it's all right, man. It's good.
No.
Let's give it. Let's go.
So, I don't know.
What?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to figure. It was like my 4th or 5th year in the league, I think. So we're going to Rimouski on a Friday for. Actually, we're working Rimouski on Friday, Quebec City on Saturday.
That's a great
trip.
That's a
It's
great trip. That's a great because Saturday's gonna be packed. Rimouski's gonna be packed, but
Saturday night in Quebec City.
Are you at the Verdun or are you at the Pepsi?
We're at the Pepsi.
Oh, I'm getting pumped right now. Do you know anything about the Pepsi?
I've been there.
You've been to the Pepsi?
I played there.
Oh, it's unreal stadium.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. So, anyways, like you see that on the schedule and you're like, fingers crossed. You're like, oh, please, please, please. And then it comes out and you get it. So, anyways, I decided, this is back when I kept myself in really good shape. So I decided I was going to work out at like 7 in the morning on the Friday, little pregame workout, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I get to my buddy's house. We're loading up the vehicle to go to Rimouski, the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And I had to take a leak, something fierce, man. So I go into his house, and I'm not the rookie on the trip. There's another guy that's rookie. I'm like, load the car.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I go in, use the washroom, come out, we get in the thing, off we go to Rimouski. So we get to Rimouski, we get to the hotel, we're going to check in, go up, maybe grab an hour nap, shower up, go to the rink.
Well.
So we're unloading the car, and I'm like, Mo, I was like, where's my my travel bag? Like with my suit shit in it. Do you know what I mean? Like all of my clothes. I'm wearing a tracksuit. That's what I have on, tracksuit from the gym and whatever. I'm like, where's my travel bag? And Mo's a bit of a joker. He's like, oh, man, I don't know, whatever. I'm like, okay, boys, funny, like hilarious. Where's my travel bag? And then Mario comes out, who hasn't seen any of this. And it was actually the same year that I worked the Super Series. And I was like, Mayor, where's my travel bag thing? He goes, that thing that you brought on the plane last week to Montreal? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, I haven't seen that. So Matt Maie, who's not in the league anymore, not because of this, but he's just not in the league. So I looked at him, I was like, Matt, did you pack my travel bag? No. For fuck's sake. I'm in Rimouski 2 hours before game time. I got to be at the rink in an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No clothes.
Are you still thinking this is a joke? Like you start?
No. Now I know. Like
it's not
a joke.
Okay.
Like I don't got no clothes.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay.
So I Google dress clothes Rimouski, and it brings me to this place on Main Street, which would be like the equivalent to the Duggars here.
Spring Garden.
Right. Okay. So I go in, and I grab a pair of pants and whatever, blah, blah, blah. A pair of pants, a shirt, a tie. I was like, okay, I'll deal. Like, I won't deal. Like, I don't need a coat, whatever. But a pair of pants, a shirt, and a tie at least. Look half respectable, go to the rink. $875 or something.
No.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, no. So I speak a little bit of French, so I was like, je suis l'arbitre pour le jeu à soir, puis j'ai besoin de vêtements parce que j'ai whatever in broken French, whatever.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so I'm like, je veux pas payer trop cher pour ces vêtements.
Okay.
And then the girl's like, ben, y a une Target là-bas dans la rue, y a Target. So anyways, I run her into Target, pick up clothes for the whole weekend, $200. Never took the tags off them, returned them in Moncton.
Attaboy.
Score.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So I get into the rink, and we've got a supervisor, Denis Morel, who's a great guy. I'm like, hey, Denis, how are you? He's like, oh, Matt, your tag for your shirt, it's still on. I was like, yeah, Denis, I'm going to keep it there because I'm bringing them back to Moncton when we get out of this racket. So anyways, but there's been a lot of there's been some fun in Rimouski for sure, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a place I love to referee the game. It's good fun.
That's awesome. That's so sick. I love the life on the road, man. I can't wait to travel again.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it. I just can't wait to travel and get out and have little stories like that again. The best part.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's why we do it. Like I love the 60 minutes of the game, and I love that. Like, to tell you that I love traveling 10 hours to Cape Breton on a Sunday in the dead of winter, like
it's fun.
No, but like the actual actual
think
part in the car. Well, the talk and stuff, but like, we're sitting around having a say right now, and that's pretty fun. Like, I'm not stuck in a car to Cape Breton in a snowstorm. Like,
yeah, I guess so.
But it's the stories that are really the cool part.
And it goes back to like being poor too. It's the same thing. It's just like that's where the best stories come from. Sorry, I just got to reply to this here.
Absolutely.
Businessman.
I was going to say you're running a business. So I would hope that you reply to your messages. I'm just a lowly whatever. I don't even think I have
friends. What are you talking about?
2 text messages. Wow. That's not bad.
Who are they from?
Kyle Hackett and Matt Peters.
Oh boy. If you do me a favor, if you get a call during this podcast, pick it up. I love when that happens. Like if my mom ever calls every now and then, I'll pick it up. What are you doing?
Oh man, if my mom called, it would be hilarious.
Before we started the podcast, we were talking about the game within the game, and I think that's one of the coolest aspects of your job. How you're able to see the game within the game. You're able to see personalities of the players, because we all know, hockey personalities outside of the rink. They're very calm, cool, collective, especially during interviews. I would know that better than anyone.
Of course.
But when you're on the ice and you get to see these guys in a scrum, fuck you, you get to see the best of it. But at the same time, as you get to view it, you have to monitor it. And essentially, you gotta ref it. You gotta make sure it stays within the boundaries. Mm-hmm. Give me some keys to success to making sure that a game stays civil. Because we all know when the scrum goes in the front of the net, there's some shit that maybe on the average night it's whatever, boys, whatever, little punch here, a little punch there, go to the bench. But every now and then it gets to a little bit more than that, and maybe some refs can't, or some linesmen can't handle that. What are your keys to success to keeping a game healthy within a game?
I mean, I'm a communication guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's always been my thing, and some guys really like it. There's probably guys that don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, I talk and stuff out there, but, we alluded to it earlier. We run the dial on the stove. Do you know what I mean? And it's about knowing where the dial and the stove is. And it's about knowing who's who and what's what and who's up against who. Like, I'll give you a story. I don't know if you guys were here for it happened in Halifax. Do you remember when Boko jumped off the bench and
spit on the goalie on his way out?
Yes.
I was there, Upper Bowl, remember it clear as day. Kelly Bent tried to fight Veleno.
Do you remember who spear tackled Kelly Bent?
No.
You're talking to him.
Oh, there you go.
Both of those guys were on the podcast.
Gonna need an autograph after this.
So, but I knew, as anybody that's officiating in that league should, here's a guy that's 20, gonna fight a guy that's 16.
He was 15. 15. That was his exceptional status here.
15.
Boko?
Years old.
No.
Kelly.
Joe Veleno was in the league for St. John. His exceptional status here.
Sorry. Yeah.
And then Kelly was given to him.
Yeah.
And Boko used to play on a line with Joe for this reason exactly. And for whatever reason, he wasn't on the ice when this happened. So Kelly hits him like it's not from behind, but it's a bit of a chintzy hit. I'm not the biggest Kelly Bent fan in the world, just saying. But anyways, a bit of a chintzy hit. And that's okay, but it's when he cross-checks him and Joe turns around and now Kelly realizes who it is and he goes to fight him. And they're like on the half wall bench side and I'm over on the far blue line. And I'm like, oh, this can't happen. Like, you can't have a 20-year-old fighting a 15-year-old in life. Do you know what I mean? It can't happen in life.
Yeah.
Like, remember what your body looked like at 15 and remember that it looked like at 20.
Yeah.
Like, you would kill a 15-year-old.
Skeleton at 15.
Exactly. Kill a 15-year-old. So I'm like, this can't happen. So I come flying across and I tackle Kelly and he's down on the ice and I just screamed at him. Like, I was like, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking right now? And I remember we got up and we turned and I looked. And here comes Boko from the bench, man. And I looked him in his eyes. And I have been on the ice in some senior games with some guys that are tough customers. And I know when that look in their like they're not coming to fight somebody because it's like, okay, you just hit my guy from behind.
The wires
and now
are crossed.
Right, now I've got to fight you because this is how this works and whatever. Like he was coming to hurt him and he could have hurt him bad. Like the guy's an animal. So I just grabbed Kelly's head and I tucked it into my chest and I said, just hold on. And Brett Boyce did the best Boyce he could with Boko. Do you know what I mean? Like that guy's not a guy that you want to try to hook onto. And he hit me in the head 15 times.
On your helmet.
And then he got me in the chin. There's a video on. It was like a big video on.
I know the
Sportsnet.
video.
Yeah.
Well, it's on YouTube still.
Yeah.
Clear as day,
Yeah.
1080p. Whenever I need to get jacked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So he comes and he gets me with one in the chin finally, after a bunch in the helmet, which was like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And then he gets me with one in the chin. And I turned around, I pushed Kelly, and I looked him in the eyes, and I was like, fucking stop now.
But he didn't.
No, he did. Then he stopped.
But he was going till he left the ice.
Well, then he was like, whatever, piss and spit at the goalie, which was garbage. I agree. But here's the difference. Let me tell you this. This is things people don't know.
Okay.
Kelly got suspended 6-7 games, whatever he got suspended for. Boko got suspended 15 games, okay? So fine. Whatever, you come off the bench and you spit at the goalie, like, you can't have that. I agree, okay? I'm not disputing any of the suspensions. First time I see Kelly, after potentially saving his life, nothing. So I give it the first period, nothing. Second period, he comes out on the ice. I look at him, I go, not even a thank you, man, or a tap on the shin pads, or like nothing. And he's like, well, that's your job, like whatever. And I was like, cool, man. I literally could have went, have at her. Do you know what I mean? And he would have killed you, right? So that's the part that, and I haven't seen Kelly since. So if he's watching, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the part that upset me. I'm working either Boko's, it was his first game back in St. John for sure. It might have been his first game back. And St. John always used to start him, starting lineup, number 49 or whatever he wore, I forget.
51.
Number 51, Boko Mama. And he would do this thing. He would come out. He would take like 8 hard strides, and he'd do these high crossovers at the red line.
High step. Greeno's high step.
And he looked like a raptor, and he would stare at the other bench. And it was one of the most intimidating things I've ever seen. I couldn't imagine playing junior hockey against that guy. Because it's literally like, I'm just not going to do anything stupid tonight, because if I do, that guy's going to kill me. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Number 51, Boko Mama. He comes out on the ice. He takes his helmet off. He takes his glove off, and he skates directly to me. And he goes, Hicks, man, I'm sorry. I fucked up.
Unreal.
And I have the utmost respect for that. I said, Boke, listen, you had a job to do that night, and I had a job to do that night, and our jobs conflicted, and we're going to leave it at that, bud. We're good. And I had no problem dealing with him ever again.
That is one of the coolest stories.
That's unbelievable. That's crazy, because when we were talking about the game within the game, I wanted to ask you if that situation, and that was the situation that popped in my head, was Kelly bent Boko Imama that night, because I was, at the time, I would have been.
Were you at the game?
13. I was at the game. I would have been 13 years old. So all I see from the upper bowl at the Metro Center, I'm loving it. I'm like, this is the greatest night of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I just watched a brawl and some guy just spit on a guy. Like, I thought it was awesome. But that was the first situation that popped in my head. If this happened, what do you do? And then you were there. That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of good things about Boko too. Just like stand up guy.
He's a great dude.
Because as
great dude.
the 13-year-old me there was like the scumbag spit on the guy. Like that's disgusting.
And I would tell him to his face if he was sitting right here, like, don't spit at guys, man.
come
Do you
on.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's junk. I get you're pissed off, and I understand, man. You had to come over the bench. I would have been more upset if I was Danny, who was coaching St. John, or any of the other 4 guys on the ice with Joe. I'd have been like, what were you guys doing? With your hands in your pockets? Or like, he's our 15-year-old superstar, exceptional status, like you said. Like, I don't care if the rest of you are 16. You're older than he is. Like, go do something.
Yeah.
Go do something.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to send that guy over the bench,
They
in my
didn't-
opinion.
Yeah.
They didn't even let Crosby in the league at 15. Like that's how big of a
we were
deal
talking
that
about
was.
that before you got here. It's crazy to think. When he shook your hand, where was it again? Sorry, was it in front of everyone?
Right in between both benches.
Like with the fans still there?
Everybody's. It was the starting lineup.
So it took his helmet off.
Took his helmet off, takes his glove off,
he just-
doesn't do his raptor thing where he scares the shit out of everybody. Skated directly to me and said, Hicks, I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I said, no problem, man. Do
At
you
a-
know what I mean?
at a
You had a
total-
job to do, and I had a job to do, and our jobs conflicted. And it's, quite frankly, as simple as that.
How I guess the next question is, I guess, how, I don't want to say often, but the respect factor I think is more often there than it's not. But how often does that happen where a player will go, great job tonight, sorry for yelling at you? I'll admit, when I was younger, when I was 20, I didn't do it. I wish I did.
More than you guys think.
It does happen, yeah. It's a great call there. I'm sorry for yelling at you.
A lot of the guys are really good.
Yeah?
A lot of them are really, really good, but it comes back to, I don't know if we talked about it on the show or before the show with the 24/7 and the referees. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, hockey guys are going to watch that and probably going to see, and that was kind of a hope of coming on here, is maybe shed some light on, like, yeah, man, we go out there and compete too, and we give a shit. Do you think I just go there for my money and leave? Like, no. Do you know what I mean? No. That's not what I do. And I'm not a Mike Babcock guy, but Mike Babcock said something wildly intelligent once when he was with Detroit, because I'm a Chicago Blackhawks guy. And they were playing Chicago in the first round, and Chicago was up like 3-0 or something in the series. And it just seemed like every time there was something that was 50-50, it was going Chicago's way. So the media was all over Babcock about, like, what do you think of the officiating? And tell us about the officiating, and what are your thoughts on the officiating, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, guys, I want to make you fellas aware of something here that you guys might not know. The 4 guys that were out on the ice tonight, they got the same goal in mind as we do. They want to get to the Stanley Cup final. That's what these guys' goal in mind. That's my goal every year. My goal every year is to work the league final or the Memorial Cup or whatever, to get as far as I can go. Do you think that these guys are going to do this by making mistakes? Like, they're not out there trying to make mistakes, guys. They're doing the best they can. That was their decision. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. But they're not like, I think I'm going to screw this one up because I want this team to win. Like, if you think that I care who wins a hockey game, I don't care who wins a hockey game. Doesn't impact me any. Yeah. I care if I was as close to perfect as I can be, because you can't be perfect. But I want to get as close to perfect as I can be every game.
I never thought about it from that perspective. The refs are trying to make the Stanley Cup Finals too.
Every year, That's the goal.
I never thought about it from that perspective.
That's the goal every year.
They want to be perfect. They don't want to fuck the game up.
No.
They want to be perfect. They want to make sure that the game runs the way it should be run. I never thought about it from that perspective. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Grab a...
No, I'm good.
You sure?
Yes, I can only do one.
You want a beer?
No. Actually, I'll tell you another little taste, I guess.
Text my girlfriend. I go, yeah, I'm having a podcast today from like 5 to 7. She's messaging me like, hey, do you want anything from Sobeys?
At least she's messaging you.
I guess. So.
There you go. She hasn't disappeared.
Hopefully she doesn't listen to this one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, that's a really cool. I'll give you my favorite Babcock. Babcock is a bad rap. I'm not going to get into that. But one of my favorite things he said about Lindstrom, Detroit. He's like, the reason Lindstrom is because he cares about the little details. The NHL at the end of the day is boring. When we had Nate on, the way he talked about the NHL didn't really excite me. I don't think it excites him. What excites him is getting to a cup. I think he's a little pissed off right now. Why wouldn't you be if you're Nate?
Of course. They're a hell of a hockey team.
He, from all us 3 idiots looking at to the NHL, we're like, oh, fuck, that's the best league. Women, money, like, whatever. Everything. It's the best life. And when you've been in the NHL for a period of time, it's not that exciting, I don't think. I think it's a job. Oh. That's the way. That's the perception. I can tell, like when Batherson was here the other day, he had a sparkle in his eye. He was so happy about his life. He knows he has a contract coming up. You could see his smile. Not that Nate didn't. Nate had a smile. But Nate was more on a mission. Nate's on a mission, and he cares about the little details. And what Babcock said about Lindstrom was he cares about the little details, because that's what gives you longevity and success in the NHL. If you have a game at Dallas at 12 o'clock, there's going to be 5,000 people in the stands. Lindstrom is still eating that oatmeal at 8 a.m. with the warm milk that he doesn't want to probably fucking eat, but he knows it's good for his stomach, so he's going to perform well. He's still showing up to the rink 3 hours before to stretch, to get on the bike, to do a routine that none of us probably will ever understand. It's the little details that he said allow people within the NHL, it's probably in life too, that allows Lindstrom to succeed. And I love that, because I've probably heard that quote maybe like 7 years ago now, and at the time, like, I know the secret. I know what it takes to be successful. I know how to. I'm not saying I am successful, but I know what it takes.
Right, of course.
And to have discipline at that level of doing the exact same thing. How many games are in the NHL? 82.
Yeah.
I couldn't say I do that. I couldn't say that I'm disciplined for 82 episodes, do the exact same thing. And the level of greatness Lindstrom had, I don't know, the cups he had and the success he had, all boils down to the little things. And I think when I told that exact story to Nate, and he loved that. He's like, Babcock's absolutely right. It's the little boring things that you have to endure each and every day in order to be successful.
So let me tie that into officiating.
Okay.
So Don Koharski was an OM, officiating manager, basically a supervisor. When he retired from refereeing in the league, he transitioned to be an OM in the league.
Okay.
So he gets a call. No, excuse me. He's in Columbus on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in Columbus on the Tuesday night watching the game, supervising the game, supervising the boys. And the referee, he never told me who he was, which is how we do things. So I don't know who it is, but an official. Prior Saturday.
So we're talking a week later. Now we're
like whatever. So the Saturday this referee worked in Montreal. Columbus was in Montreal.
Okay.
And then on the following Tuesday, so 4 days later,
Yeah.
that same official's in Columbus working a home game in Columbus against whoever they're playing.
Okay.
I don't care.
I got you.
Okay. So the GM goes to Don and says, Cole, that man right there, he's an excellent official. But I want the same guy that was Saturday night in Montreal, even though it's Tuesday night in Columbus. I want the same guy I got Saturday night in Montreal. That's attention to detail. In the terms of, yeah, maybe Sunday afternoon in Bathurst is a little different feel than Saturday night in Halifax.
Yeah.
But the effort level better be the same.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The effort level better be the same. The care level better be the same. All of that. Is it harder to do? Yeah, sure. It's harder for me to get amped up in front of 550 people in Bathurst on a Sunday than it is 9,500 people in Halifax on a Saturday. I think that's fair to say that that's human nature. But that's the little details as an official that, you like it's 82 games for those guys. It's 64 games for us or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? We don't work 64, but you've got to bring that compete level every game. So that's, what Babcock was saying, what Nate, I'm sure agrees with, because for him now, this is his job.
Yeah.
He's got a full-time job being a professional hockey player, and he's got to look after his body, he's got to look after, his nutrition and all that stuff, and blah blah blah, and then he's got to know what's going on in the ice and all those things. So yeah, it's detail oriented, I'm sure.
No, 100%. Discipline. Anyone at that level. Are you good, by the way? Like, do you have to be anywhere?
Not immediately, no.
How much time are we at right now?
Hour 13.
We're at an hour and 13 minutes.
Feels like nothing.
Jesus. What time is it? 7?
7:04.
What time do you have to leave?
Like 15 minutes.
You got to leave in 15 minutes? Fuck. Okay.
20. Whatever.
What do you want to cover?
Yeah.
I'll talk faster.
Well, here's what we'll do, because I don't really want to end this at all. This is a great episode. Just give me the laptop and I'll do the switching, because as long as everything's recording,
Okay.
I'll just do the switching after.
Okay.
That's fine. Are you in a rush? Do you got to go anywhere?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we covered the travel. I guess we covered the game within the game. I guess we didn't really talk about your first Q game. I was going to ask that earlier, then I skipped over it.
Yeah, I mean,
Nerves before?
Yeah, what were the
man,
nerves
I
like?
get nervous before every game still. Like, I've always said to the younger guys, maybe if I'm taking a younger guy and it's his first playoff game or whatever, and I'm working with him and we're on the car ride up and it's like, oh, Hicks, I'm really nervous or whatever. I'm like, nerves are great, man. Yeah. Don't get stressed. Stress is bad.
I think stress is good. Stress means you're doing something right.
Well, so I guess it's all in your interpretation of the meaning of the word. So for me, nerves are great because it means you care. Stress is bad because that's going to affect, in my opinion, it's going to affect your mental ability, which is going to affect your judgment, your physical ability, all of that stuff.
Okay, sure.
So my motto is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's a quote from the movie Shooter.
Okay.
So slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So you got to think slow like golf. You got to think slow, play fast. Like that's what you have to do. Same thing with officiating. So yeah, and my first game was at home in Moncton at the Coliseum. Do you know what I mean? So like got some family there and things like that. But I met with Chris Boudreau, who we talked about earlier, who's kind of the guy that like sort of asked me about like maybe taking a next level to this stuff. And so working with him was super comforting. And I was like, it was funny. I was like, oh, Chris, like I'm going to beat you to the net every time tonight. Like every scrum, I'm going to beat you to the net. And he goes, that's no problem, man. You're half my age. He goes, you go look after 2 guys at the net. I'll go look after the other 8. How about that? And it was like, maybe you don't need to be flying around at 800 miles an hour out there. And maybe you need to, like, you can't do this. You have to do this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's
gotcha.
what needs to happen.
I got you.
So, yeah, first game at home in Moncton, in the Coliseum, the old rink. It was fun, man. It was cool. But I still get nervous before every game. Until I get my hand on the puck, man. Until I have a face-off, I need to have a face-off.
Okay.
And then I settle in.
There must have been a section of the crowd real pumped for an icing call that night.
Yeah.
Really pumped. The first
good.
icing of the game, and that
that's good.
one section must have just lost their mind.
Yeah, Dad was pretty involved in hockey and stuff, and so he's calm, cool, collected. Like it's actually hilarious. Funny story. So my first senior game, first ever senior game. I'm 17 years old. I'm going to Rishabukto, and they had most of their team was Indigenous fellas, so they were pretty rough and tough. And they used to call it the Rishabukto flu, all the other senior teams. If you're playing in Rishabukto, you get the Rishabukto flu because it's like, I don't really know if I want to go play those guys. They put a beating on you. So I'm 17 years old. I'm going up there, and my partners are Jean Hébert is the referee. Yeah. This is 3-man system. He's in the NHL now, works second or third round of the playoffs every year.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Mario Maie, who should have been in the NHL if he didn't have a heart. Has a heart condition. Oh. Yeah, so he had open heart surgery twice. So he went to NHL camp, and then they couldn't insure him. Yeah. So, and he was my linesman partner and me. So the first thing that happened is I walked into the rink, and a gentleman by the name of Evan Levi, he shot the puck from the red line. This guy's like, he's probably 6'5", 280 pounds. Yeah. And it hit the crossbar, because that's what he used to do, and it made a sound that I had never heard before. And I was like, where the fuck am I? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this? Is not midget AAA, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, men. Yeah, exactly. It was my first time with like men in a competitive, like not in an industrial, like a gents league game.
Yeah.
So I end up by the Rishabukto bench, and these guys I know both really well, but like Owen Millier and Lucky Millier were there.
Okay.
And they were like, I don't know who the fuck you are, man, but you're not going to survive tonight. Like, I'm 17 years old, man. I'm wet behind my ears. Like, I have no idea. I have no business being on the ice. And I'm shaking in my boots. Scott Farrell's coaching. Scotty's played at Acadia. Has coached high-level hockey his whole life. He's a vice principal at Moncton High now. Wow. And so Scott looks over at me, and then he looks at Owen and Lucky. He goes, you two idiots, shut the fuck up. You both played for his father. And I was like, what? And I look straight across, and Dad's in the stands, man, and he's keeled over laughing because he knows the boys are giving it to me.
Yeah.
And then Scott points over at Dad, and Lucky and Owen are both like, you're Hicks's kid? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay, man, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? So then I was good. But
that's so funny.
Yeah. So just anyways, on your like, Dad's pretty, and Mom's quiet as it is, and my stepmom same thing. So yeah, but it was nice to have family there and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you find when you had to start dealing, like, I guess Q kids are only like 18, 20 years old, but most of those guys are in shape. They have muscle. Did you find you had to like put on a bit of a physique to I guess get in there and break up the scrums, or is it more just cardio?
Yeah, no, I had to go the other way, but I was a fat kid.
You had to
I had to lean out a little bit. But yeah, no, that's, it's not what it used to be, even 20 years ago now. Like, that's why I try to tell the younger kids coming up, like, you don't so much have to physically move a guy as you have to be able to, it's like a dog. You've got to be able to break their attention. Do you know what I mean? So whether you've got a clever line or whatever it is you might have, like, if I'm engaged with you and, like, we're, doing cross checks and face washes and whatever, but if I can get you, like, if Aiden can get you and I disconnected and onto him, now he's got me, and now he says something, and now the whole thing diffuses.
But what's the trick to?
There isn't really. There's no magic recipe. It's just being able to do it, and it's easier for me at 11 years in the league with a guy that's 19 or 20 that I've worked with for 4 years now than it is for somebody that's 1 year in the league with a 16-year-old that they don't know each other from Adam. Do you know what I mean? And if a 16-year-old gives me a problem, I go to the captain of the team, who's usually 19 or 20, who I know, and I'm like, I don't know who this kid, like, he hasn't even had his cup of coffee yet. Do you know what I mean? I'm 11 years in. Can you deal with this, please, before I do? And they're always awesome about it. They'll go over that guy like, listen, man, do you know what I mean? Like, Hicksy's just trying to do his best or whatever. Maybe you guys are disagreeing, but like, let's sort this out. And then 99 times out of 100, the 16-year-old comes over the bench, tap on the shin pads, hey, man, sorry, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then I'll go tell the captain, whoever it is, like, thanks for, clearing that up, and then we're all good. So that's a little bit of the stuff that goes on.
Game within the game.
Stuff that goes on that people don't know.
I never thought of it from that perspective of how if you're a captain of a team, you need to be a great communicator. Like, if you think about it, like, though, you for the majority of the time, like, the captain on a team is the best player, but you also need to be a great communicator.
What's his name that played in L.A. when they were winning cups? Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown was the best player on that team, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But he was an unbelievable captain because I don't think that it's Daryl Sutter, right? Yeah, I don't think that Daryl Sutter's a stupid man when it comes to hockey. Yeah. Like, I think that he understands what's going on.
Yeah.
That's your captain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. I'm going to make the guy that can get the guys to buy in, whether it is by what he says or maybe just his example. Maybe he's not a big voice in the room. Maybe he's just an example guy. He's like guys that block shots, man. I have the most respect in the world. Like, if a guy gets a shot in a PK, I will skate into the zone, pick him up, and throw him into the bench myself if he's hurt. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, man, I couldn't lay down in front of that. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
And that's at junior where, like, a guy with a hard shot's shooting at, what, maybe like 90?
Yeah.
Like, lay in front of Shea Weber's shot and tell me how that feels.
I'm all right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Whoever the goalie is, like, he can deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in front of it.
That is. I remember when we were in. Are you still good for time, or do you got to go?
I'll move if you want.
Yeah, you go. Anyways, little technical difficulty there, but we got to wrap up. We're bumping over an hour here. Matt, you're the man. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
It's no problem.
Enjoy the rest of the summer. I'm sure I'm going to see you a lot more around the rinks when we're back into full swing.
Golf.
Oh, 100%. How long are you going to be here for?
Probably only Wednesday, but I'll be back down, man. I've got Pete's diaper party and a bunch of stuff. Like, I'll be in and around. Yeah, we should get out for a game.
Shoot me a message 100%. Let me know when you're here. We'll go out.
Great.
All right, everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is the High Button Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're out. Peace.